If you feel stuck in life, listen to this. Not because it will make you feel comfortable, but because it might finally help you see things clearly. And sometimes clarity is not soft. It is not easy, but it is necessary. Because there comes a point in life where you have to stop looking around for answers and start looking within. And most people avoid that moment, not because they cannot handle the truth, but because it requires honesty they are not used to giving themselves. There are moments where life feels like it is not moving. You wake up. You go through your day. You do what you have to do. And somehow nothing really changes. It is not dramatic. It is not obvious. But it is consistent. Days pass. Weeks pass. And you begin to feel like you are in the same place. Trying. Thinking. Hoping something shifts. But deep down there is a quiet question that keeps coming back. Why am I still here? Why does it feel like I am not moving forward? At first you look outside. You look at your situation. You look at people. You look at circumstances. You begin to think maybe it is your environment. Maybe it is bad timing. Maybe life is just not working in your favor right now. And sometimes that feels true. Because life is not always fair. Things do go wrong. People do disappoint. Opportunities do not always come when you expect them. But there is another part of the truth that is harder to accept. A part that most people avoid because it is uncomfortable. Sometimes the reason nothing is changing is not outside of you. It is within you. Not because you are weak. Not because you are not capable. But because there are patterns in your life that you have not confronted. Patterns that feel normal because you repeat them every day. Small choices. Small habits. Small decisions that do not seem important in the moment. But over time they shape your entire reality. If you really look at your life honestly, not the big moments, not the things you tell people, but the small daily actions, you will start to see it. The things you avoid. The things you delay. The things you know you should do but keep pushing aside. That is where your life is being built. Not in one big decision, but in the repeated actions you choose every day. And most of the time those actions are driven by one thing: avoiding discomfort. You choose what feels easy. You stay where it feels safe. You delay what feels hard. And slowly that becomes your pattern. Not because you decided to stay stuck, but because you kept choosing comfort over growth. And comfort does not feel dangerous. It feels peaceful. It feels safe. But over time it keeps you in the same place. It keeps you from becoming who you could be. Fear plays a bigger role in this than most people realize. Not always loud fear. Sometimes it is quiet. It shows up as hesitation. It shows up as doubt. It shows up as overthinking. Fear of failing. Fear of not being good enough. Fear of being judged. And instead of facing that fear, you avoid it. You tell yourself you will try later. You tell yourself you need more time. You tell yourself you are not ready yet. But what you are really doing is protecting yourself from discomfort. Then come the excuses. And this is where it becomes even harder to be honest. Because excuses sound reasonable. They sound like valid reasons. You say you are tired. You say you do not have time. You say things are not working in your favor. And sometimes those things are true. But when they become a pattern, they stop you from taking any action at all. They become a shield that keeps you in the same place while making it feel justified. The truth is there will never be a perfect moment. There will never be a time where everything feels right. Where you feel completely ready. Where there is no fear. Life does not work that way. The people who change their lives are not the ones who wait for perfect conditions. They are the ones who act in imperfect ones. They move even when they feel unsure. They take steps even when they are not confident. And that is what separates them. At some point you have to shift your perspective. You have to stop asking why is this happening to me and start asking what am I doing about it. That question is uncomfortable. But it is powerful. Because it takes you out of a place of blame and puts you in a place of responsibility. And responsibility is not a burden. It is control. It is the moment you realize that even if you cannot control everything, you can control your response. When you take responsibility for your life, something begins to change. You stop waiting for things to happen first. You stop depending on motivation. You begin to act. Not perfectly. Not all at once. But gradually. You start making better choices. You start showing up for yourself. You start doing what needs to be done even when you do not feel like it. And that is where real change begins. There is a version of you that you already imagine sometimes. A version that is more disciplined, more focused, more consistent. But that version is not created by thinking about it. It is created by the decisions you make daily. It is built through action, through consistency, through choosing growth when comfort is easier. And that version of you is not far away. It is built step by step. The truth is, you already know what needs to change. There is something in your life right now that you keep avoiding. Something you keep delaying. You feel it. You think about it. But you push it aside because it requires effort. Because it requires honesty. Because it requires action. But that is exactly where your growth is. That is the point where everything begins to shift. So take a moment and be honest with yourself. Not with anyone else. Just you. What is that one thing you know you need to face? That one habit. That one decision. That one change. Do not ignore it this time. Because the moment you face it is the moment your life begins to move in a different direction. If this message spoke to you, if it made you reflect, if it made you see yourself in a different way, then take a second to like this video so it can reach someone else who needs to hear this truth. And if you are ready to stop waiting and start changing your life step by step, then subscribe and stay connected here. Because this is not just a message. This is a journey. This is episode 2. And in episode 3 we will go deeper into discipline. Into what it really takes to stay consistent when motivation fades. Because knowing the truth is one thing. Living it is another. Stay ready.